Hello, my tech-savvy pals. Today, we're diving headfirst into the fascinating world of Flutter architecture. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Is it a futuristic blueprint for building a spaceship out of Flutter widgets? Well, not quite, but it's just as cool. Before we embark on this Fluttery adventure, it's important to remember that understanding Flutter's architecture is like knowing the secret handshake to the developers club. It makes life so much easier. So, what is the architecture of Flutter, you ask? Well, it's like a big, beautiful tree of widgets. Yes, widgets are the heart and soul of Flutter. Think of them as the leaves, branches, and roots of your app's tree. Now, when we talk about building a Flutter app, we're essentially creating a widget tree. It's all about nesting, just like a tree in the wild. You know, one root leads to two roots, and then two more branches, and so on. It's like nature's way of saying, I'm a tree too. The key takeaway here is that you need to craft a widget tree when you're developing a Flutter app. It's your virtual garden of widgets, and we'll delve deeper into these little guys shortly. But wait, there's more platform differences, because variety is the spice of life, right? If you want your Flutter app to look and behave differently on various platforms, iPhone, Android, Windows, Mac, and even the wild jungle of the web, you can use some conditional programming magic. It's like having a chameleon for your app. In other development worlds, you usually have separate languages for the front end and back end, like speaking one language for UI and another for logic. But in Flutter, we break the mold. We use Dart, a single code base for everything. Design your UI components, build your logic, and make it all happen with one language. It's like having a Swiss Army knife for your coding needs, versatile and efficient. So, my friends, this is the basic structure of Flutter architecture, and it's truly something to behold. It's like the symphony of widgets and logic playing in perfect harmony. And if you ever find yourself in a coding forest, remember to look for the widget trees. They're where the magic happens. Now, let's dive deeper into the world of widgets and make our Flutter trees flourish. Let's take a closer look at Flutter's architecture through the lens of the user interface. I've got a Flutter UI open here, and it's a thing of beauty. Everything you see in the design is coming from a single code base. That's right, it's like having all your logic and widgets cuddled up in one cozy code base. Imagine you're building a house of widgets, and each room is a widget. All these UI components you see here, they're all widgets. They're like the Legos of your app, snapping together to create your masterpiece. And what's really neat is that within one widget, you can have more widgets. It's widgets all the way down. It's like Inception, but for coding, a widget within a widget within a widget. It's like a digital Matryoshka doll. So, let's recap. UI in Flutter is all about widgets. Everything you see here is a widget, and you can nest them like a Russian doll party. But how does it all come together in a Flutter app? Well, it's like a family tree of widgets. At the top, you've got your My App widget, which is the root of your app. It's the head honcho, setting the tone for the entire show. Next in line is Material App or Cupertino App, if you're going for the Apple vibe. You can even switch between them using conditional programming, depending on your platform. Then comes the home page. It's like your app's personal bookshelf. In your app, you can have multiple screens, and each screen is a widget. The pages of your digital book. In these pages, you can have a design, UI, and everything you need, all neatly packed in a widget. Now, Scaffold is your best friend. It gives you a blueprint for your UI pattern. It's like the framework of your house, where you can add the top navigation, bottom navigation, and all the components that make your app shine. But here's the cool part. Flutter offers a universal design that can run on all platforms, so you don't need to create separate UIs for Android, iOS, and Windows. It's like having one outfit that looks fabulous at every party. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you want to tweak the UI for a specific platform, Flutter's got your back. You can use conditional programming to tailor your design for Android, iOS, or any other platform. In the end, Flutter is your versatile friend that can rock the same outfit at every event or dress up according to the party's theme. It's all about building your widget tree, making your digital dollhouse, and letting your creativity soar. So there you have it, the magic of Flutter's architecture. It's all about widgets and creating your unique widget tree, a coding adventure where you're in control of the design and the logic. Now, let's take a deeper dive into these widgets and see how they can turn your app into a work of art. All right, folks, let's break down the marvelous structure of Flutter's architecture. It's like building a treehouse, but for your app. Picture this. Everything you see is a tree formation. It's like Mother Nature decided to code her own forest. If you look closely, you'll notice that every component is brought into existence by a child. No, not an actual child, but a child widget. And trust me, they're all widgets, like digital Lego pieces you use to construct your app's kingdom. Now, the MVP, most valuable player, in your Flutter treehouse is the scaffold widget, and it brings some serious game changers to the table. First up, the app bar. It's like the crowning jewel on top of your app, your digital tiara. Whether you want to call it an app bar, toolbar, or action bar, it's where you work your magic. You can mold it into anything you desire. Next in the lineup is the body component. This is where your app's soul resides. Anything you place here will be visible in that specific spot. Think of it as the canvas for your masterpiece. Now, let's dive into some other cool components. We've got the floating action button, which is like the secret agent of your app, ready to take action at your command. Then there's the navigation drawer, bottom navigation, and tabs. These are like your app's versatile tools, helping users navigate the app's wild world. So, as you follow this architecture, your code base becomes a haven for widgets. Everything you use in your Flutter app is essentially a widget. And just like in a magical forest, there are two types of widgets. One that can hold multiple child widgets, and the other that only allows one child. You can create a whole forest of child widgets, or just nurture a single one. It's your call. Now, let's talk about development. Flutter's the land of the one code base wonder. You don't need multiple languages. You write all your code in one place. It's like making a sandwich. You handle both the bread and the filling in one go. And the magic ingredient, Dart. An easy to learn language that's like the cool cousin of Java, JavaScript, C#, and C Script, all rolled into one. But here's the deal. Flutter doesn't do drag and drop or fancy visual editors for a UI. You'll be handcrafting your UI with code. No need for drawing or dragging. Just your trusty keyboard and a cup of coffee. To sum it up, Flutter gives you a single code base, a versatile language, and a brush to paint your app's masterpiece. And the best part, you can run your Flutter creation on multiple platforms, like iPhone, Android, macOS, Chrome, and even as a website. It's like having the keys to different kingdoms. So remember these building blocks of Flutter architecture when you embark on your Flutter journey. It's like knowing the secret recipe for a delicious app. That's all for today's class, my tech enthusiasts. I thank you for joining me on this Fluttery adventure.